All right, welcome everyone. We're going to get started with head coach Jay Johnson. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start with Michael Lev.
Hi, Jay.
Hey.
Hey, wanted to ask you a few questions about Jacob Berry. Obviously excelling as a freshman, as a switch hitter. Besides just the talent that it takes to hit effectively from both sides of the plate, what's the other maybe biggest challenge that someone faces who's trying to do that and maintain a high level from both sides?
Repetition. You can get repetition in terms of the practice swings. You can control that part of it, but generally speaking, there's more younger right-handed pitchers than left-handed pitchers, so the at-bats on the right-handed side don't always match up to the left-handed side. But I think he's managed that really well. Fortunately for us, we have several left-handed pitchers in our program right now, and throughout the fall and January, I really tried to balance the number of at-bats he got right-handed and left-handed because we knew he was talented. We knew he'd be a guy that we wanted in on both sides and is really good from both sides. So, he's developed at a really high rate, and that speaks to his ability.
Does he require more time in the cage than someone who just bats left or just bats right?
I think it's probably on the lower end of a switch hitter. And what I mean by that, his swings are almost identical, left-handed and right-handed. It starts with a good base, good balance. And he has what I would call a low maintenance swing. He gets in a good position to hit. He sees the ball really well and controls the strike zone really well, which allows him to be consistent. And I think that's what you've seen early on is he's pretty consistent from both sides.
Sure. Now you've said several times that you feel like he's equal left and right. If you look at his splits on ncaa.org, he's got a lot more home runs and way fewer at bats right-handed. So my question is, could he be equally good as a left and right-handed hitter, yet also be kind of a different hitter, left and right?
I don't know. I mean, I like seeing him come up both sides. To be honest, it's a really good question. I mean, he has a ton of big hits, left-handed as well. Had a big home run at UCLA the other day. Had a big 2-out, 2 RBI single, left-handed the other day. Had a triple at LMU. So I don't really have a strong opinion on that because I think the reason he is good is because the simplicity of the swing and the simplicity of the approach, and they mirror each other. And I don't know this to be, true, but it's long been thought about switch hitters. The more you can make your position to hit, your movements the same, then the more complete that you can be from both sides. And I'm very happy. I don't have any feeling of teams trying to turn him around one way or the other, like sometimes you do when you have switch hitters. It's pick your poison, more of a thought to me.
Sure. And one last thing about Jacob. When Nick Quintana was here, he improved a lot defensively over the course of his career. Do you envision Jacob kind of being on a similar track defensively? And do you see third base as his long-term position?
I do. Yeah. And I'm actually fine with him defensively. I think he's a good defender. I thought he defended well in the fall. I thought he started a good double play. He was in the 9th inning at UCLA on Sunday due to some lineup construction stuff. And, played airless baseball, I believe, in Frisco, for 3 straight days. So I think it's just a matter of time. When you're making out a lineup, there's a lot of things that go into it, both, where you place guys in the batting order and defensive positioning and those types of things. And so my job is to look out for what is the best way to give us a chance to win and put us in the best position to be successful. But I think he handles that position great, and I think you'll see him there a lot this year as the season goes along still.
Next question, Ari Kozlow.
Coach, what have you seen in terms of the maturity of Jacob Berry and Daniel Susac from the beginning of the season to now as freshmen who, played pivotal roles for this offense this year?
Well, they're both incredibly talented players. I think they have to be two of the better freshman players in college baseball. And that's not a surprise because we knew they were talented when they came in. Honestly, I think it was just a matter of getting some games at bats underneath their belt. And by doing that, they realized that it is baseball. And if you take it one pitch at a time, I think the thing I like about both Jacob and Daniel is they have a lot of confidence in themselves. And I think that's a big time separator with young players. Some want to do it before they really believe they can do it. These guys showed up believing that they could do it. So then it just became about getting experience and settling into the season. And both of them have done a really nice job of that.
And then impressive start to the season for Oregon. They're number 2 in the conference in pitching. I believe it's Colin Kafka. He's allowed 1 run in 21 innings for them. What are your expectations for the series against Oregon in terms of what you've seen from them?
It'll be a hard-fought series. When I look at Pac-12 play, I look at 10 weekends of equal challenge, to be honest with you. There may be some guys you match up better or worse against. Like, it all comes down to the play. So I don't really get caught up in the opponent other than the things that we need to do that may be a little different. Some teams will bunt more, some teams will swing freely, some teams will pitch you a certain way. But, they're off to a good start, and hats off to them. I mean, honestly, it's the same roster, that we've played really in 2019 and 2018 in terms of familiar characters at the top of the order and in the pitching staff. I mean, we faced Kafka twice. We faced Robert Alstrom, some of their relievers, Walker, Summers, all those guys are familiar. Sam Nowitzki's a really good player. They are a good team. They have a lot of 22 and 23-year-olds on their team, and they're good athletes. I think the thing that stands out to me about Oregon is they're playing exceptional defense right now. I mean, I've never seen 15 games into the season, a 994 fielding percentage. I've never seen that in my life in college coaching. So looking forward to a good weekend of competition. And I know our players are as well.
Next question, Matt Moreno.
What are some of the areas of growth that you've seen with your team since the start of the season?
A lot. I think, we really, the first couple games, I think we really needed to just get settled in and settled down and not let, the game take them out of their training or their approach. And, we mentioned some young players. I think that maybe happened the first couple games out, but I think we're well past that. And I think experience is a really good teacher. I think they really believe in themselves is something that I'm really pleased with. I don't think we're ever, feel like we're out of a game. I think there's a number of different ways that we can win games. Our offense gets a lot of credit and notoriety as it should, because we have a bunch of good hitters and we have interchangeable parts. One guy goes out, one guy goes in, and it still seems to be pretty effective. I think we have played better defense maybe than our numbers show. We've had several games where we've had 0 errors. And when that stat is a 0, I would guess that we're on the winning side of most of those games when you combine, good offense, good defense, and playing complementary baseball. And I really believe in our pitchers. I mean, we've brought in really talented pitchers to this program right now. I think there's several of them are going to be professional pitchers. I think there's professional pitchers that haven't thrown 1 inning for us this year. I really am looking forward to seeing their development arc as we get through the season. And then I think they care about winning, and I think they prioritize it, and I think it's important to them. So I've learned all of those things, and I'm very happy about that, and looking forward to competing with them, through a really fun stretch of baseball coming up here these next couple of weeks.
You seem to really embrace the challenges that you guys face each weekend. You talked about how challenging the schedule is and kind of that being consistent throughout the year. What is it about those challenges that you really like for your team, and maybe what does it tell you about your team when you go through those?
Yeah, I think, this is a game that is designed, or people will tell you it's designed around failure. And a lot of people look at it that way. For me, I look at it as it's designed around opportunity. And what I mean by that is the opportunity to become the best you can possibly become. That only happens when you're facing elite competition. And at Arizona, we're going to face elite competition. And I think what's great about the Pac-12 is everybody can have a good and successful baseball program. And some years you're a little older, some years you're a little more experienced, some years, you got through the draft, in a little better shape than others. And that can really swing the scale. And I mean this, for me, there's no difference whether you're playing the 2nd place team and the 9th place team in our league. And so instead of running from that, we want to run towards that, because I really believe that's going to help us be the best that we could be. And I don't think this week is any different. And I'm really looking forward to this competition this weekend.
Next question back to Michael Love.
You've expressed admiration for Kenyon Yovan in the past. It looks like he's gone from being mostly a pitcher to a full-time hitter and a really good hitter. Is he one of those guys where you kind of wish that he'd been drafted last year and he wasn't around anymore?
Yeah, everybody always ends up with that one guy on your team, like, wait, why is he back? And, but I credit him. I mean, a lot of guys, when they have an arm injury as a pitcher, they can't go another direction. You know what I mean? And for him to turn himself into a power hitter and a good power hitter and a complete hitter is a credit to him and his baseball skill and his athleticism. It's kind of when we recruited, Brandon Bossier, he was a really good pitcher too. And then he had Tommy John surgery and has gone totally to the hitting thing and has been successful that way. So he's a good competitor, and I'm really excited to see our pitchers, get a chance to compete with him, and it'll be good for them, and looking forward to it. But hats off to him for making the best out of a bad situation, because I believe at one point he was projected to be a first-round pick as a pitcher.
Sure. You referenced Oregon's fielding percentage. They have yet to allow an unearned run this season. When you face a team that's likely not going to give you very much, does it change anything about the way you approach the game?
No, I think it only, what it does is it magnifies that, you have to be on it. And what I mean by that is, no pitch in an at bat, an individual at bat is inconsequential when you're on offense, and the readiness of the hitter and the base runner at that time is really important. And on defense, it's the same thing. You want to make them earn everything that they can get, and their team obviously has done a really good job of that, and it's why they've had some early success against good teams. And so I think that's a good point, and it's something that I want them to be ready for all, whatever it is, 300 pitches of a game, and be engaged, because you never know when those 5 or 6 that decide winning and losing come. So we try to train towards that, and I think it won't be any different, because that's where we want to be from a mindset standpoint, game in and game out.
Sure. I don't think many of us expected Jonathan Guardado to be among the pitchers on the travel squad, given that he hadn't pitched this year or even last year. What led to that decision, and was there an injury issue with him that kept him off the mound for a while?
He's finally healthy is basically the answer to that question. He's not pitching the fall. He was not going to be able to pitch last year, and is back to health. And we'd put him out a few times in simulated games and controlled inter squads over the past 3 weeks, and felt like he was at a point to where he could get in there and contribute. And we wanted to basically see what we had in a game situation, and velocity was good. And he's just a guy you root for, because in the midst of adversity, kind of like we were just talking about with Kenyon Yovan, has been an ultimate teammate. A couple weekends ago, he had to be on the walkie-talkie in the bullpen for us because of a staffing issue, and handled that like a pro. And he really pulls for his teammates, and I think it was really good for our team to get him back out there and see him back out there.
Did he have a surgery or anything of that nature?
No,
or was it just
no, I didn't. Just pain. Yeah.
Arm pain. Okay. And one other guy who's been out that I wanted to ask you about is Blake Paw. Is he going to be back this weekend or anytime soon?
No update at this time. Did not make the trip with us. We'll reevaluate today. Again, we did not practice yesterday in terms of readiness. I mean, he's obviously a big part of our team, and as soon as we can get him back, we want to get him back, because he was a big part of that 10-game winning streak, obviously, with his play. And I don't think it's a longer term or longer scope injury than maybe that we first thought. So I think that's positive, but we really need to and want to get Blake back in there.
Are there any more questions for Coach? All right, thank you, Coach.
Yes.
All right, questions for Jacob Berry, please raise your hand. We'll start with Michael Lev.
Hey there, Jacob. When did you start switch hitting?
I have been switch hitting as long as I can remember. My dad said he could never hit a breaking ball very well, so at least the breaking ball would come into me if he made me hit both ways. So I've done it as long as I can remember. So you have to ask my dad on that one.
And do you do everything else right-handed? I mean, obviously you're a right-handed thrower.
Yes, sir. I throw right-handed, I right-handed, and I golf right-handed.
There you go. Okay. Were there any switch hitters in Major League Baseball, or are there any that you admire or model yourself after?
Not too much. I try to kind of base my swing off of how I've been my whole life. I just try to keep things simple from both sides. I try to keep them similar, at least like a mirror image. I try at least. So at least if something's wrong, I can almost look at the other side and fix it real quick.
Are they the same? Is your stance exactly the same? Is your swing exactly the same?
I feel like there's a little difference in both swings, but I think that's just come over the years and just naturally. I tried to make them similar, but I think they've turned out pretty similar in that sense.
Sure. If you look at your stats so far, you have a lot more home runs hitting right-handed and fewer at bats, but a higher batting average hitting left-handed. Do you think that's just a small sample size, a fluke? Are you a different hitter right-handed versus left-handed in any way?
No, I'm just looking to barrel the ball both ways. I'm not too picky on home runs or anything. I'm just trying to help move the offense and barrel the ball whenever I come up to the plate. So that's not trying to do more one way or the other. I'm just trying to have good at bats.
Sure. And in terms of practice time and swing maintenance, do you need twice as much time as the other guys to do that? Or do you just sort of fit in swings from both sides in the like sort of the designated time that you have?
So usually I usually get here a little bit earlier because I do need a little more time for both sides, just because it's a little bit different from both sides. Some days you need more from the other, and then some days you don't need as many. But I would say I do need a little more just because it's two kind of swings and I have to work on them every day. So, yeah.
Next question, Ari Kozlow.
Jacob, I believe it's 11 games. You have yet to commit an error. How much of an emphasis do you put on defense in your game?
That has been a big emphasis since coming here. I've been trying to improve that been trying to improve that since I've been here, and I hope to continue to improve that in the future. I wouldn't say making an error or not making an error is a big issue, but just trying to help the team in any way I can right now.
Next question, Dominic Cotroneo.
Hi, Jacob. I just want to ask, this week you've been on quite a tear going to the UCLA series and then the 2 homers against LMU. So specifically, is there an at-bat that kind of clicked it for you, or what have you been seeing at the plate that's been kind of really produce some offense for yourself?
I feel like this weekend I had a good weekend in UCLA and then against LMU, and I felt like I was just trying to slow the game down and take one at bat at a time, not trying to think ahead or behind, not thinking about the past or anything, just focusing in that at bat and that pitch. So I think that is what really helped me this last weekend.
And your head coach mentioned that kind of everybody wanted that kind of settle in the first week. You see it with the split with Ball State. And do you feel like that there was an adjustment time that as you adjusting to college ball again and playing somebody that isn't, your teammate finally has that period obviously passed now? And what was that time like for yourself trying to get into college pitching and trying to attack it the best way you can?
I agree with that. The first weekend was for sure nerve-wracking, as I think it was not just for me, but for every player. But I think as the more games I've played, at least, the more comfortable I've become in the batter's box and in the field. And I'm just realizing it's the same game that I've played for a long time. And I just got to play the game. It's not that hard. You just make things simple and just try to do things a step at a time.
We'll try to make it easy on you as well. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Next question back to Michael Lev.
Did you have a high school season last year?
Yes, we played, I believe, 7 games, and then we were in the middle of an 8th game and we got rained out, and then the game the next day got canceled. So we had a little bit of a season, but not too much.
So 7 games or 7+ games. And what about summer? Were you able to play anywhere in summer?
I played in the summer league in Phoenix, so they had part of it was at the Diamondback spring training facility, and then the other part was out in East Valley at my high school and in the Queen Creek School District.
Do you know how many games roughly you played in summer?
I probably played about 15 games, so not too many there as well.
So overall in 2020, not as many games as you're used to playing in a given spring and summer. Do you think that had an impact on some guys? You're talking about sort of that first weekend, just getting used to game speed again?
I think it did, because we play a lot of inter squads and stuff like that, but it's a totally different game when you're playing against somebody else and your adrenaline's really going. So I think that was also a big factor the first couple games this year against Ball State, and I think we've started to play better and feel more comfortable in those situations as the years went on.
Sure. So you've obviously been on a good roll lately, as referenced earlier here during the interview. Did you expect to have this level of success kind of right off the bat in college?
I'm not too worried about the success in my sense. I'm just really worried about how I prepare and my preparation, and then how I can help the team. So it's not so much the success on my part. It's just what I can do before the game, during the game, and how do I help contribute to the offense and move the offense. So I'm not too worried about the success part. I mean, as long as I'm helping the team win. So
sure. Did you have sort of a set routine as far as preparation went before you got here? Or is that something that you've learned from the coaches or older teammates since you've been here?
I've always had a process in high school and in summer ball and in club ball, but I think it is kind of evolved since coming to college and growing. I think it's gotten a lot better. And now in the past, I was able to prepare for games, but now I have set times where I can come in and do my work, and it's just a routine now. It's just kind of like clockwork, I feel like.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for Jacob? All right, thank you, Jacob. We'll start with Michael Lev.
Hey there, Trevor.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, thank you. So you were one of the top-rated high school outfielders in the state of Arizona, and now you're a pitcher. How did all of that kind of come about?
It kind of came about, I would say junior year. I was playing for the scout team for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I got on the mound, and Jay was there watching, and he saw that I had a lot of potential on the mound there. He contacted me after the game talking about it. And when I got here, with a lot of returners returning in the outfield, he said that this year would be a good year to use Nate Yeske's knowledge, use the older guys' knowledge, and really build on my pitching potential and aspect of the game. So that's basically how I got to where I am today and how I'm pitching right now.
Were you openly embracing that idea? Were you resistant to it at all?
No, I would say I was openly embracing it. I've always loved pitching. It's been kind of a part of my life for my whole, I would say since I've started playing baseball. Constantly I've looked up to pitchers in the MLB, and when I got the chance to come out here and pitch, it just made me really excited to see what I could do.
Is there someone in MLB that you admire the most or model your style after?
Currently, I would say Shane Bieber, just kind of mechanic wise, kind of do the same things as he does. Same pitch arsenal really, and anything that I feel like I have a little flaw on or I feel out of place, I could kind of look at his mechanics and compare it to mine and see if maybe there's something out of sync or something I could do to improve on.
How do you feel like you're progressing as a pitcher so far?
I feel like I'm progressing very well. Since the very first week of the season, all the older guys kind of really embraced me. I mean, I think I learned something new from each guy. And we have one of the best pitching coaches in the country, if not the best. So he's really kind of created a new sense of pitching for me. I've learned things from him that I have never heard before, and they've really transformed my game.
What's an example of that you could think of?
I would say coming in, I had a shorter arm path. I mean, not a shorter arm path. I had a longer arm path, and I was about, I would say 88 to 90 miles an hour throwing wise. And Coach Yeski told me to shorten it up. And the second I shortened up, I went from 88 to 90 to about 91 to 93.
Can you demonstrate right now? What can you show me what you're talking about with the longer, shorter?
Kind of, it was on my backside, my hand would go below my waist and it'd go like kind of like about mid thigh level down, and I'd come around. But instead, I kind of shortened my arm path to where it would go right above my waist and I'd come up, and it would just keep my timing and sync, and my arm would follow through with my body.
Thank you.
Next question, Ari Kozlow.
Did Coach Johnson mention to you of potentially getting some opportunities to hit later in your collegiate career, or did that not come up?
That has not come up yet. I would be totally open for it, but right now my mind is totally focused on pitching and making sure that I contribute in whatever aspect of the game I can to make this team win.
You got in 3 solid innings on Monday. How did it feel to be out there against LMU?
I felt really good. I mean, any chance I can to help the team is a great opportunity for me. And I would say that just being out there is something that I've always kind of looked forward to throughout my life, especially as a younger kid. And now that I'm finally doing it, I feel like I'm really happy right now.
Next question, Matt Moreno.
What were some of the things you guys maybe took away, maybe as a pitching staff or as a team personally, from the first Pac-12 series that maybe you can use moving forward as you make your way along the season?
I would say the stuff that we took away from the first Pac opening weekend would probably be that to limit our walks. We've been falling behind hitters a little too much and giving free bases, and we believe that as we limit those numbers, as we limit the walks, we will give ourselves a better chance to pitch well, to pitch deep into games, and to give our hitters the best opportunity they can to follow through with their aspect of the game.
Coach talked about how much he likes the challenges when you guys play against a team that's going to be a little more challenging to you guys. What do you guys as players like about these types of series against a team like Oregon or UCLA that maybe brings the best out of you guys, or what maybe stands out to you when you play a team like this?
When we play a team like Oregon or UCLA, a team that we know is one of the top in the country, I really see it, and we really see it as a chance to bring the best out of us. Like you said, it's not every day that you could just play one of the top teams in the country, and you get better from that series too. You see where maybe you have some weaknesses, where you have strengths, and through that series, you can learn a lot about who you are as a team, and we could also get stronger and closer through the close games that occur during the series.
All right, final questions for Trevor. We'll go back to Michael Lev.
Jay said that that the coaches met with the pitchers after the third game against UCLA and maybe talked a little bit about expectations and that sort of thing moving forward. What was kind of the gist of that meeting?
The gist of that was kind of just staying confident, being ourselves, not letting the situation get too big for us. Really just focusing in on what we've practiced, what we've been working on, and all of our different scrimmages we do. And as long as we stay true to all the techniques and what we do here, we'll be fine. And yeah, that's about it.
Sure. I think we've asked just about every pitcher we've had on here what impresses them the most about Preston Price so far, who's succeeded in just about every high leverage situation he's been put in. What do you think about that?
I would say the first week I got here, he was actually my throwing partner. So I worked with him a lot, and he acted as a big brother when I got here. I learned a lot of what I've done here from him. And what makes him so successful is he really manages his time well. Here he trains like he would in a game. He makes sure everything is game-like. And I think that when he gets on the mound in those big high leverage situations, he just feels comfortable. He feels like that's where he should be. And that's why he's able to just go out there and be as successful as he's been.
Sure. I got one last thing for you. You're majoring in pre-business. What are you planning to do with your degree once you get it, or in the future?
I'm not totally sure yet. I think I'm probably going to go into something with finance. My dad is a math teacher, so I'm pretty good analytical mind wise. And I hope that that'll get me somewhere, maybe, I don't know, high up in a business at some point in my lifetime.
Are you interested in the analytics side of baseball?
yes, I am also very interested in the analytics side of baseball too, as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, everyone. That's all we have for today.